Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you never have to work for a paycheck again. No boss, no alarm clock, no worrying about whether your income will be enough next month. Sounds amazing, right? But then another question appears. How much money do you actually need to make that possible? Is it 500,000, $1 million, $2 million? Or could you retire comfortably with much less? The truth is, there is no single retirement number that works for everyone. Your retirement number depends on where you live, how much you spend, your age, your health, your lifestyle, your debts, your investments, and most importantly, how long your money needs to last. And here's the interesting part. A person spending $30,000 a year may need dramatically less to retire than someone spending $100,000 a year, even if both people earn the same amount today. So in this video, we're going to break down a simple way to calculate your personal retirement number. We'll look at real examples, the famous 4% rule, inflation, healthcare, emergencies, taxes, social security or pensions, and the biggest retirement mistake people make. And by the end, you'll have a much clearer idea of what financial freedom could look like for you. Let's begin. The first question is not, how much do I need? Most people start retirement planning with a number. They say, I want $1 million, but that's actually the wrong place to start. Instead, start with a much simpler question. How much will I need to spend every year after I retire? Think about your current life. Where does your money go? Housing, food, utilities, transportation, insurance, healthcare, entertainment, travel, family, subscriptions, shopping, and of course, unexpected expenses. Now imagine that your salary disappears. Which expenses disappear with it? Maybe commuting costs disappear. Maybe work clothes disappear. Maybe some business expenses disappear. But other expenses may increase. For example, you might travel more. You might spend more time on hobbies. You may have higher healthcare costs as you get older. So retirement spending isn't necessarily the same as your current spending. That's why building a retirement budget is so important. Step 1. Calculate your annual retirement expenses. Let's make this simple. Suppose you believe you will need $4,000 per month to live comfortably after retirement. That's $4,000 to $48,000 per year. Now add some margin for unexpected expenses. Let's say another $12,000 per year. That gives you $60,000 per year. This $60,000 is much more useful than simply saying, I need $1 million. Why? Because your required retirement portfolio can be connected directly to your annual spending. And that's where one of the most famous retirement rules comes in. The 4% rule. You've probably heard of the 4% rule. The basic idea is simple. If you have a diversified investment portfolio and withdraw around 4% of your portfolio during your first year of retirement, then adjust that withdrawal for inflation over time. Historically, this has often been used as a rough framework for a retirement lasting around 30 years. It's not a guarantee. It's not a law. And it doesn't mean every retiree should blindly withdraw exactly 4%. But it gives us a useful starting point. Here's the simple calculation. Annual retirement spending, 0.04 to C, approximate retirement portfolio. Let's use our example. If you need $60,000 per year, $60,000, 0.04 is $1.5 million. So under the traditional 4% framework, someone spending $60,000 per year might target approximately $1.5 million invested. And this is where the numbers start becoming interesting. What if you spend $40,000 a year? Let's say your retirement lifestyle is relatively simple. You need $40,000 per year. Using the same calculation, 40,000, 0.04 or 1 million. So your target might be around $1 million. But now imagine you need $80,000 per year. 80,000, 0.04 is 2 million. And if you need $100,000 per year, you get a 2.5 million. Look at what just happened. Your retirement number changed dramatically simply because your annual spending changed. That's why focusing on your lifestyle is often more useful than focusing on a magical retirement number. Here's the part. Many people forget your investment portfolio may not be your only source of retirement income. You might receive thus Social Security, a government pension, a company pension, an annuity, rental income, business income, part-time income, royalties, or other investments, and that changes the calculation. Let's say you need $60,000 per year, but you expect $25,000 per year from Social Security or a pension. Now your investment portfolio only needs to cover $60,000 minus $25,000. That's $35,000 per year. Using the 4% framework, $35,000, 0.04 is $875,000. So instead of targeting $1.5 million, the rough portfolio target becomes about 875,000. That's a huge difference. This is why retirement planning should focus on income gaps, not just portfolio size. Your retirement number is really an income number. Think about retirement this way. You don't necessarily need to own a giant pile of money. You need a reliable system that produces enough money to pay for your life. Imagine your retirement expenses are $5,000 per month. That's $60,000 per year. Now imagine your guaranteed retirement income covers $2,500 per month. Your portfolio only needs to provide the remaining $2,500. That changes the entire equation. So when calculating your retirement number, ask, how much income will I need? And how much of that income will already be covered? That is a much better question. Inflation, the silent retirement killer. Now let's talk about something that can completely change your retirement calculation. Inflation. Imagine you're 40 years old today. You think, I can comfortably live on $50,000 a year. But you're not retiring today. Maybe retirement is 20 or 25 years away. If prices continue rising, $50,000 in the future won't buy what $50,000 buys today. For example, at an average inflation rate of 3%, prices roughly double over about 24 years. That means if you need $50,000 today, you could need roughly $100,000 per year decades from now to maintain a similar purchasing power. That's why simply saying, I need $1 million is incomplete. You also need to ask, $1 million in today's purchasing power or $1 million in future dollars. Those are very different things. And this is why starting early matters so much. Let's say two people want to retire with $1 million. Person A starts investing at age 25. Person B starts at age 45. Even if both eventually invest the same amount of money, person A has something incredibly valuable. Time. Compounding allows investment returns to generate additional returns. And over several decades, that can become extremely powerful. This is why retirement planning isn't only about how much you earn, it's also about when you start. The retirement number changes with age. Here's another important point. A 30-year-old planning for retirement needs a different strategy from a 60-year-old preparing to stop working. Why? Because the time horizon is different. Someone retiring at 65 might need their portfolio to support them for 20, 25, 30 years, or potentially longer. Someone retiring at 45 may need their money to last 40 or 50 years. That makes early retirement significantly more challenging. 4% withdrawal rate may be too aggressive for some very long retirement periods. That's why early retirees often need more savings, lower spending, more flexible withdrawals, additional income, or a combination of all four. The biggest retirement risk isn't always running out of money. You might think the biggest risk is simply spending too much. But there's another problem. It's called sequence of returns risk. Imagine you retire with $1 million. During your first year of retirement, the stock market falls sharply. At the same time, you still need money for food, housing, healthcare, and everything else. So you sell investments while prices are down. Now your portfolio has fewer assets available to recover when markets eventually rise. This is why retirement planning isn't just about average returns. The order of those returns matters. A portfolio that performs well over 30 years can still create serious problems if large losses happen at the beginning of retirement. This is one reason many retirees keep some combination of cash, bonds, and other lower volatility assets alongside long-term investments. Emergency funds still matter after retirement. Some people think emergency funds are only for working people. They're not. In fact, an emergency fund may become even more important after retirement. Your car could break down. Your roof could need repairs. Your home could need major maintenance. You could face a large medical bill, or your investment portfolio could temporarily fall. Having a cash reserve can prevent you from selling long-term investments at exactly the wrong time. The exact amount depends on your situation. But many retirees consider keeping enough accessible cash to cover several months of essential expenses. Healthcare can change everything. This is one of the most underestimated retirement expenses. Healthcare costs can rise significantly as people age, and depending on the country where you live, your insurance system, your employer, benefits, and your personal situation, retirement healthcare can look very different. So don't simply calculate versus housing plus food plus entertainment. You also need to think about the insurance premiums, medications, dental care, vision care, long-term care, medical emergencies, and healthcare costs that aren't fully covered by insurance or government programs. One unexpected healthcare event can completely change a retirement plan. That's why a retirement plan should include a healthcare buffer. Don't forget taxes. Here's another mistake. People often calculate retirement income using gross numbers. For example, I'll have $60,000 a year, but how much of that will actually be available to spend? Depending on where you live and the type of account or income source involved, withdrawals may be taxable. Some investment income may also have tax implications. So your retirement calculation should ideally be based on after-tax spending needs. If you need $60,000 to live, but taxes consume another $10,000, your portfolio may need to generate $70,000 rather than $60,000. The exact calculation depends heavily on your country and tax situation. But the principle is universal. Plan with the money you can actually spend, not just the amount shown on paper. Let's build 3 retirement examples. Now let's make this practical. Imagine 3 people. We'll call them Alex, Jordan, and Taylor. Alex. Simple retirement, Alex expects to spend $40,000 per year. Alex has no pension. Using a simple 4% framework, 40,000, 0.04, 1 million. So Alex might use 1 million as an initial planning target. Jordan, comfortable retirement. Jordan wants $60,000 per year. Jordan expects $20,000 from guaranteed retirement income. So the portfolio needs to provide a $60,000, $20,000, or $40,000. Using the 4% framework, 40,000, 0.04 is a 1 million. Notice something interesting. Jordan wants a more expensive lifestyle than Alex. But because Jordan has additional retirement income, the portfolio target can still be around the same level. Taylor, high spending retirement. Taylor wants $100,000 per year. Taylor expects $30,000 from retirement income. That leaves $100,000, $30,000, $70,000. $70,000, 0.4 to 1.75 million. And that's before considering taxes, healthcare, inflation, and other factors. So Taylor may need a considerably larger portfolio. What if you don't want to follow the 4% rule? That's completely reasonable. The 4% rule is a framework, not a promise. Some people prefer a more conservative withdrawal rate. For example, using a 3.5% withdrawal rate, annual spending 0.035. If you need 60,000, 0.035 equal is approximately 1.71 million. At a 3% withdrawal rate, 60,000, 0.03 is 2 million. Notice the difference. A lower withdrawal rate means you generally need a larger portfolio, but it can also provide a larger margin of safety. This is one reason your personal risk tolerance matters. What about a $500,000 retirement? Let's say someone has $500,000 invested. Can they retire? Maybe, but the answer depends on their expenses and other income. At a 4% initial withdrawal rate, $500,000 would provide roughly $20,000 per year. That's about $1,667 per month before considering taxes and other factors. If someone also receives $2,000 per month from Social Security or a pension, their total income could be around $3,667 per month. Now the picture looks very different. But if someone needs $5,000 every month and has no other income, $500,000 may not be enough. So the question isn't, is $500,000 enough? The better question is, enough for what lifestyle, for how long, and with what other income? What about $1 million? $1 million sounds like the ultimate retirement number. But $1 million doesn't automatically mean financial independence. If your lifestyle requires $120,000 per year, a $1 million portfolio may be under significant pressure. But if you only need $35,000 per year and have additional income sources, $1 million could provide a very different level of security. Your spending rate matters more than the headline number. What about $2 million? Now we're getting into a much larger safety margin. But again, don't assume that $2 million means you can spend whatever you want. If you spend $200,000 every year, $2 million can still face serious pressure. If you spend $60,000, the picture is completely different. This is why wealthy people can still feel financially insecure. Wealth is not just how much money you have. It's the relationship between your assets and your spending. The most powerful retirement strategy: reduce the number. Here's something most people don't talk about enough. You can attack your retirement goal from 2 directions. You can increase your assets, or you can reduce the amount you need. And reducing expenses can be incredibly powerful. Imagine you need 80,000 per year. Using a 4% framework, that points to roughly 2 million. Now imagine you redesign your lifestyle and reduce your retirement spending to $60,000. Your target falls to approximately 1.5 million. You just reduced your required retirement portfolio by roughly $500,000. You didn't earn an extra 500,000. You didn't win the lottery. You simply changed the amount of money your lifestyle requires. That's a powerful idea. Housing can make a massive difference. Housing is often one of the biggest retirement expenses. Imagine two retirees. One owns a home outright. The other has a large mortgage or rent payment. Even if both have exactly the same investment portfolio, their retirement experiences could be completely different. That's why housing deserves special attention in retirement planning. Ask yourself, will I still have a mortgage? Will I rent? Will I downsize? Will property taxes increase? Will maintenance costs rise? Could I move to a lower cost area? These questions can dramatically change your retirement number. Debt changes the equation. Retiring with high interest debt can be extremely risky. Imagine having a large credit card balance while simultaneously depending on your investment portfolio for living expenses. You're effectively trying to grow wealth while paying potentially expensive interest. That's why debt management should be part of retirement planning. Before retirement, ask, can I eliminate high-interest debt? Can I reduce fixed monthly payments? Can I refinance where appropriate? Can I avoid taking on new debt? Because reducing your monthly obligations can make your retirement portfolio last longer. What if you continue working part-time? Here's another option. Retirement doesn't always have to be work, stop, never earn again. You can create a middle ground. Maybe you work 2 days per week. Maybe you freelance. Maybe you run a small business. Maybe you create online content. Maybe you consult. Even a relatively small income can reduce the amount you need to withdraw from your portfolio. For example, if you need $60,000 per year but earn $15,000 from part-time work, your investments only need to provide $45,000. At a 4% withdrawal rate, that's approximately $125 million. Instead of $1.5 million, that's a significant difference. The three numbers everyone should know. If you remember nothing else from this video, remember these three numbers. Number 1, your annual retirement spending. How much will your lifestyle actually cost? Number 2, your guaranteed retirement income. How much will come from pensions, social security, or other reliable sources? Number 3, your investment portfolio. How much capital will be available to fill the remaining income gap? Once you know these three numbers, retirement planning becomes much clearer. A simple retirement formula. Here's a basic formula you can write down. First, estimated annual retirement expenses minus reliable annual retirement income equals annual portfolio withdrawal requirement. Then, annual portfolio withdrawal requirement, chosen withdrawal rate equals approximate retirement portfolio target. For example, annual expenses, 70,000. Retirement income, 25,000. Portfolio needs to provide 45,000. At 4%, 45,000, 0.04, 125 million. That's your starting estimate, not your final answer. Your freedom number may be different. Here's something I want you to think about. You may not actually need enough money to retire forever. You may need enough money to give yourself options. Maybe your goal is to stop working at 60. Maybe it's 55. Maybe it's 50. Maybe you simply want enough money that you can leave a job you hate without worrying about the next paycheck. That's financial freedom. And the number that gives you freedom doesn't necessarily have to be the number that supports your entire life forever. Sometimes your first goal can simply be get to the point where work becomes optional. Don't chase a perfect number. There is no magical retirement number. Markets change. Inflation changes. Taxes change. Your health can change. Your family situation can change. Your spending can change. Your priorities can change. So instead of creating one rigid retirement target, create a range. For example, a minimum target, the amount required for a basic lifestyle. Comfortable target, the amount required for the lifestyle you actually want. Freedom target, the amount that gives you a significant margin of safety. This approach can make retirement planning much more realistic. So, how much money do you really need? Let's bring everything together. If your retirement spending is around $40,000 per year and you have little or no additional income, a rough 4% framework points toward around 1 million. If you need $60,000 per year, you're looking at around 1.5 million. If you need 80,000, around 2 million. If you need 100,000, around 2.5 million. But remember, girl, these are simplified illustrations. They do not guarantee that your money will last. Your actual target may need to be higher or lower, depending on career, your age, your retirement duration, your investment strategy, taxes, inflation, healthcare, other income, market conditions, debt, housing costs, and how flexible you are willing to be with spending. The real secret to retirement. Here's the biggest lesson. Retirement isn't really about reaching a giant number. It's about creating a sustainable relationship between your money, your lifestyle, and your time. If you spend less, you need less. If you save more, you build your portfolio faster. If you start earlier, compounding has more time to work. If you have additional income, your portfolio has less pressure. And if you're flexible with spending, you can potentially adapt when markets or the economy change. That's the real foundation of financial independence. Final takeaway. So, how much money do you really need to retire? Maybe it's 500,000, maybe it's 1 million, maybe it's $2 million, maybe it's 3 million. The number isn't the point. Your lifestyle determines the number. Start with what you spend. Subtract the income you expect to receive. Calculate the gap. Then build an investment portfolio designed to cover that gap, while accounting for inflation, taxes, healthcare, emergencies, and the possibility of living longer than expected. And don't wait until you're close to retirement to start thinking about this. The earlier you know your number, the more control you have over it. Because the goal isn't simply to become rich. The goal is to reach a point where your money can support the life you want. And your decisions are no longer controlled by your next paycheck. If this video helped you understand retirement planning in a simpler way, consider subscribing to the channel. And in the comments, tell me one thing. What is your personal retirement number? Is it 500,000, $1 million, $2 million, or something completely different? Because knowing your number is the first step toward building it. And remember, you don't need to predict the future perfectly. You just need to prepare for it intelligently.